Well, it's that time of year once again. Welcome to the 2025 DA Awards. This is the third annual DA Awards of completely meaningless and entirely arbitrary awards that I make up myself. When I look back over 2025 and the various things that I have reviewed over the course of the year, in fact, in this case, that's 119 different YouTube reviews that I have published in 2025. And as I look back over them, there are some things that stand out to me as being exceptional. And so I am here tonight to award those things. Thank you for joining me once again for our annual awards. Now, there is basically just two criteria when it comes to these awards. First of all, it has to be something that I reviewed in 2025. And the second criteria is entirely subjective. It is how much that particular product impressed me and stood out from the competition. So let's jump into our first category, which is Camera of the Year. I had the opportunity to review cameras from Canon, from Nikon, from Sony, and from Fujifilm in 2025. And there are a few that stood out to me. I will give one caveat in that my review of the Sony a7 IV is still a review in process. I just received it within the last 24 hours and have just started to review it. And so right now, I am going more on what I'm aware of from a briefing and from what I've seen from other reviewers, but it certainly stands out as one of the best camera releases of 2025. However, it just in terms of the specifications, doesn't stand out to me as much as another camera that I'll get to in just a moment. But some definite standouts there, the ability to really function in a lot of ways like an A1 Mark II Lite, with that great burst feed, blackout-free viewfinder, and other great features. And so it's pretty awesome. I also really found the Nikon Z5 Mark II to be an incredibly impressive camera for the price point. And I will note that it is competing at a lower price level than any of these other cameras that I'm mentioning here. And so it is a great, great value camera, a really awesome camera for the money. My winner, however, this year is the Canon R6 Mark III, a camera that really stands out as one that has very few limitations. One of those limitations where the a7 IV does surpass it is when it comes to a blackout-free viewfinder. But outside of that, it has tremendous capabilities both as a stills and also as a video camera. And it's in the latter point where I think it could be argued that it surpasses the Sony a7 V in some of those areas with the open gate video, the ability to shoot a huge variety of codecs and produce really high resolution footage. It is a really fantastic camera. And what's more, I feel like it's a camera that feels great in the hand. It just works really, really well. So kudos to Canon for continuing to raise the bar of what is possible in the R6 series, which has been competitive from day one. Second category is the zoom lens of the year. And this was a really competitive category in 2025. There was a lot of great zooms that were released in 2025, and not just great zooms, but also unique zooms that, whereas I feel like we're getting to a place of maturation in a lot of the various lens makers, and so it allows them to be a little bit more creative, and we reap the benefits of that as consumers. My honorable mentions for this year include a Sigma lens, the 300 to 600 millimeter f4 Sport, which is a fantastic lens. It's big and heavy and maybe beyond what most people are looking for, and so I didn't get my top award here, but it is an amazingly good lens and one that really is a strong value compared to the prime lenses that it really competes with. And so a very, very impressive product from Sigma this year. Also, Tamron's 25 to 200 millimeter f2.8 to 5.6 is a fantastic travel zoom. Does just a lot of things really, really well, and it impressed me a lot. And from the response from the audience, there's a lot of you out there that are interested in that lens. My runner-up, however, is a lens that in some ways kind of flew a bit under the radar, and that was the Schneider Kreuznach and LK Samyang 14 to 24 millimeter f2.8. Right now, LK Samyang doesn't seem to have quite the momentum that they had a few years back, but that should not dissuade you from looking at this lens. It is a really impressive zoom lens that, for example, I'll tell you that the best kind of reward that I can get it is I'm preparing to travel tomorrow, and so I'm putting together what needs to be a very compact kit for this trip. One of the lenses that absolutely had to go in there was the 14 to 24 millimeter f2.8. It is so versatile, it does so many things well, and it's nice and compact, and so I really, really love it. However, the winner this year is more of a high-end zoom lens that is one that a lot of people would consider their zoom of the year, and that is the Sony 50 to 150 millimeter f2 G Master lens. It's heavy, it's expensive, but it is amazingly versatile and amazingly sharp. The fact that they nailed this formula in a lens that is just so versatile in its focal length makes it a really, really impressive lens. And for those that shoot events, shoot weddings, shoot portrait photography, it is a lens that is going to appeal to a lot of people. And it's got the speed, even with an f2 aperture, to be an amazing short distance sports lens as well. And paired with one of Sony's better sports bodies, it can do amazing things in that metric. So it is my zoom lens of the year. The third category that I want to dive into is the budget APS-C prime lens. And so I define budget as being under $600 as the threshold that I use for that. There are a couple of lenses that were runner-ups for me. One of those is Sigma's 12mm f1.4. It really advanced this series in terms of the feature set and the focus motor, and also it's just a really, really good lens optically at f1.4. And so if you're looking for a wide angle prime for APS-C, it is pretty impressive. Also, the Viltrox Pro AF 56mm f1.2 is a fantastic lens. It adds the combination of focal length at 56mm and maximum aperture f1.2 that wasn't available on Sony and Nikon, and of course goes head to head with the Fuji's own 56mm f1.2. And I did a video that compared those two and showed just how much the Viltrox gave the far more expensive lens a run for the money. And so both of those are impressive runner-ups, but my winner this year actually goes to a budget lens, and that is the Viltrox Air 9mm f2.8. It is a lens that I found to be very, very good, not only on Sony, but it really impressed me on Fuji X-mount, where I reviewed it on Fuji's extremely demanding 40 megapixel sensor. And I was really, really impressed by just how sharp that lens was, even on that sensor. It is as sharp as any wide angle lens that I've seen on Fuji, period. And so it was a really, really impressive lens. And the fact that you can get it for under 200 bucks is just a bargain. And so I was very, very impressed by that. Moving on to category number 4, let's talk about my budget full frame prime lens under $600 of the year. Again, a couple of runner-ups, and in this case, I got 3 runner-ups because Viltrox killed it in this category this year. The Viltrox Pro AF 85mm f1.4 is a lens that has sold a lot of portrait photographers because it has beautiful rendering, beautiful sharpness, and an amazing price. The Viltrox Air 14mm f4 is really the full frame equivalent of that 9mm f2.8 that I just praised so highly. And I actually, in some ways, like the full frame 14mm better. And the fact that you can get such a wide angle of view, the ability to use filters, and have such a strong optical performance in a lens that cost less than 200 bucks. Likewise, the Viltrox Air 50mm f2 was every bit as sharp as the Sony 50mm f1.4 G Master that I'm filming on right now, and yet again, it's another lens that can be had for under 200 bucks. But my winner this year has to go to yet another Viltrox lens, and that is the Viltrox Evo 85mm f2. This is a lens that launched a whole new series for Viltrox and did so in such impressive fashion. It's so good optically, it has great autofocus, and despite being small and compact, it has a great feature set. It's got an aperture ring that you can click or declick. It's got the AF/MF, it's got the function button on it, and it is beautifully made and can be had for around 270 bucks. What an amazing value for a lens that is just really, really good. And by the way, it's another lens that's going into my travel kit. I wanted a short telephoto to bring along, and it is so compact and so good. It made the cut, and it's coming with me on the trip. So kudos to Viltrox for, as I said, cleaning up in that category. This is, I think, the space that Viltrox as a company really, really thrives. And I don't know that anybody is doing it better than them in the sub $600 prime category. The fifth category is premium prime lens, and there were a number of great lenses that cost more than $600 US that fell into this category that I want to praise today. A couple of runner-ups include Sigma's 135mm f1.4. A lot of you love that lens, as do I. It's amazing. The combination of that large maximum aperture and that focal length provides images that are just pretty uniquely special. Also, the Viltrox Lab 35mm f1.2 is another in that category, just another one of their high-end Lab series lenses that now has come out on Z mount as well, and on both Sony and Z mount. It is impressively good and competes with the very best on both of those platforms. Also, we have the Sigma 200mm f2 Sport, another amazing high-end lens that I really have to praise. My winner, however, this year comes from Sony, and it's Sony's 100mm f2.8 GM macro lens. It is a lens that is pretty rare in that it's a macro lens at a traditional focal length that managed to push the bar of what was possible. It is optically better than pretty much any macro that I've tested before, but the ability to use teleconverters with it and increase that magnification up and the flexibility of how you can use the lens really set it in a different category. I also love the clutch mechanism that Sony has managed to design that gives you more of a true manual focus experience with hard stops. It kind of gives you all of the best when it comes to macro experience, and it is probably my next personal lens purchase. And so I give them kudos for that. It's the lens that out of all the releases in 2025, I think is the most impressive for a prime lens for me. One of the categories that I added last year was the company that had the best year. And so my runner-up this year is Viltrox. Viltrox has been just growing year by year. They get stronger, it seems like, every year, and it feels like the day is coming very shortly where they're going to win in this category. Every release in 2025 was pretty much a hit. I liked all of the Air series lenses, all of the Pro series lenses, the Lab series lenses, and they launched the new Evo category that just won an award right here. Very impressive work by Viltrox. But my winner for the second year in a row has to be Sigma. Sigma they had a killer year, releasing one hit after another, and that includes creative zooms like the 17 to 40mm f1.8, which again was one of the best APS-C lenses of the year and already is proving very popular on all of the platforms that it's sold for. I've already mentioned their 300 to 600mm f4 Sport, which is just a kind of a groundbreaking zoom that comes at a price that is about half of what the competing prime lenses are, even though it covers all of those focal lengths. So great job on that front. Their 20 to 200mm travel zoom is one that a lot of people are buying and loving because it stretched that focal length down to 20mm, allowing you to get more in frame than any of these travel zooms before for full frame. Also, they released some fantastic primes, all of which I've mentioned, including the 200mm f2 Sport, 135mm f1.4 Art. One that I didn't mention was their 35mm f1.2 Mark II, a really well-rounded, high-end prime lens that is pretty special. And then the 12mm f1.4 for APS-C we mentioned previously. All of those are fantastic lenses that I think could have competed for Lens of the Year in all of their categories. So kudos to Sigma. They continue to do a fantastic job of releasing lenses that are very desirable and often stretch the limits of what's possible at the focal length and aperture combination. Keep up the good work, Sigma. I have no idea what you have coming next, but I can't wait to see it. How about the lens or the camera that most surprised me in 2025? That has to be the Viltrox Air 50mm f2. The Air series to that point had been lenses that I had largely considered to be good, but not necessarily great. They kind of, their strength had been in their APS-C lenses, and the fact that they released a sub $200 50mm f2 that had the kind of sharpness that that lens has, it really kind of blew my mind how good it really was. Even when I tested on a 61 megapixel sensor, it had no problem resolving from corner to corner. It is a really impressive little prime lens, easy to bring along, easy to love, and easy to afford. So it is the one that surprised me the most. My most disappointing lens or camera this year was the Fujifilm X-Half. And I recognize that I'm probably not the right market for that camera at all. But frankly, I found the camera to I didn't hardly get it. I'll be honest. I had a hard time wrapping my mind around it, and I recognize it's more of a hipster product that will appeal to a certain kind of person, but there wasn't much about it that I enjoyed, from autofocus to image quality to the ergonomics of it. It just did not press the right buttons for me, and so I would say it was my biggest disappointment of 2025. What was my most popular review of 2025? Ironically, it was part 2 of what was the most popular review of 2024. In 2024, I did a 3-way comparison between the Sigma 18 to 50 millimeter f2.8 on Fuji, and then the 16 to 55 millimeter f2.8, and then the 18 to 55 millimeter OS lens there. And so that was my most popular of 2024. I came back and revisited that in 2025, putting the Sigma 18 to 50 millimeter f2.8 up against the newly released 16 to 55 millimeter Mark II and the 16 to 50 millimeter f2.8 to f4.8. And people were really interested in seeing how all of those lenses compared on that demanding 40 megapixel Fuji sensor, and it was the most popular review of 2025. Now, the flip side of that was, what was my least popular review of 2025? It was the Hohem iSteady M7 mobile gimbal, a motorized gimbal designed for phones. It had only 679 views, and it was released early on in 2025. The only upside compared to 2024's least popular reviews is that while I gained not one subscriber over that review, I didn't lose any. Whereas the least popular of 2024, I lost 6 subscribers over that video alone. So, progress, folks. At least I'm not turning you off by the reviews that you don't like. Finally, we're going to look at the Reader's Choice Awards. Over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I have been polling you, the audience, to see what is your top camera. Your top camera of 2025 is the Sony a7 IV, and tied in second place are the R6 Mark III from Canon and the Z5 Mark II from Nikon. Both of those got 25% of your votes, but the Sony got over 40%. And so it was your most popular camera. What was your top zoom lens of 2025? It was the same as mine, the Sony 50 to 150 millimeter f2. In second place was the Sigma 300 to 600 millimeter f4 Sport. Your top prime lens by your votes was the Sigma 135 millimeter f1.4, and you picked that over the second place of the Sony 100 millimeter macro GM. My findings swap those two results, but we're both in the same ballpark. Your top APS-C lens of the year, and in this case, there really isn't even hardly a second place. You picked the Sigma 17 to 40 millimeter f1.8 by a landslide. Over 80% of the votes went to the Sigma, making it easily the most popular APS-C lens to you, the audience of 2025. I want to conclude by saying a big thank you to each and every one of you for your support in 2025. I thank you for continued growth on this channel, for being so supportive, so loyal, and so kind in your comments. You are a well-educated audience. You always push me to grow and be a little bit more careful always in my review process, and I really, really appreciate you. To all of you, I wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and hopefully 2026 is our best year yet. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day. And remember, let the light in.